Thank you. Hey guys, happy Friday. We've got a workshop today. I'm hitting my buttons here. Here we go. I hope you guys are doing great. We made it to another Friday. Yay. So we have a really cool class today. It's I'm excited about this one because it's one that I feel like the stitch path is, it's just like a meditative, like very refreshing stitch path. I like it for some reason. I hope you like it too. It just is a one solid trip through the whole bracelet, just looping around, and it makes sense as you're going along. It's very intuitive, I feel like, but also kind of, you know, creative and intuitive at the same time, which is kind of a neat combo. And the best part is this is one of those stitches and one of those techniques and ideas that you can take and make with any beads. So you might make it today with the 8-0, you know, combination that I've got going here, and then try it with different beads later. It doesn't have to be made with 8-0. You can make it with 11-0, 10-0. You can try adding some 6s to the bubbles, just whichever you can get to stack up. The cool thing about this, the effect of putting the bugles in it, making it kind of cinch in, is that any beads you put in between those two little cinched in sections are going to look like a bubble. But if you were to just go straight with like 10-0 or 11-0, then it would just be a straight flat bracelet. And that could look very cool too. You can also change it up and add crystals. You can add gemstones. There's a lot you can do with this. So you can also make the little bib part, the stitch part. You can make that with things other than bugles. You can just stack seed beads. You can make it with just regular seed beads, cubes. The sky's the limit. The whole thing that we're going to do here with the thread path will work with many combinations of beads and things that you can try. So you'll see it when we're going through it. You'll be like, oh, I could do this, I could do that. It'll spark ideas, and that's the goal. So on the mat, what I've got are the class sample, and then I've got one that I made that is kind of more Halloween-y because we're headed into October. And so I just wanted to show that really you can go crazy with colors. You can do anything you want. There's a lot of bugle colors at Michael's, and there's a lot of seed bead colors. This one follows all of the conventions that are in the handout for as far as sizes and counts. So these aren't, you know, dramatically different, but as always with a lot of these like workshop classes, the technique you're going to learn, you can change these counts up. You can make it bigger or smaller. You can make it with a set of 2, 3. You can make it with 7. There's no requirement for even or odd. So the number of bugles that you start with here in your very first ladder is totally changeable. I just kind of went with 5 because I thought that was a nice size on the wrist. I thought that looked really cool. But you could make 7, you could make 6, you could make, however, there's no reason to make it odd or even count, just any kind of count will work. So this is really versatile. Anything you like to do is going to just be amazing. So for this particular design, and I'll stick to what's in the handout for today, but you know, just saying again that you don't have to do exactly these sizes and counts. But I'm going to be using some size 10 and some Czech bugles that are Czech 3, size 3 bugles. And all the bugles we have at Michael's are size 3, so they're all going to work. And then I'm going to be using some size 8s. And the number of colors that you use here can be up to you. But I'll have 3 different colors going, and I'll just kind of like bring them in. And then on the next one, I'll bring in a new color here, kind of alternating. That's what I did on this one. So you'll see I've got a row that's got purple and then a blue, purple, blue. That can make it have a really cool look. So you can just go to town with color. But then on this one, I didn't have as many options as far as keeping it Halloween-y. So I just went with all the same color for my bubbles here. So you can see you'll get lots of different looks just by playing with that. And anything you want to do is going to be just fine. It's going to work great. Great place to put a crystal right here. Great place to put a little gemstone, fire polish, all that. You can really go crazy. For thread, the stuff that we need is the usual things. You're going to want to have some Wildfire thread, and I did match my thread color to my work. So here you see I was working with frost, but on this one I was working with the black, and I'll work with black today so you can see no matter what colors I'm doing for the stitch. So I want you to be able to see what we're doing. But you can use any colors you want. I use the .006. I do recommend sticking with that because they're going to make a lot of different trips through some smaller beads here, these little teenies. So because you got to make a few trips through there, you might have an easier time with 0.006, and you also might have an easier time with a size 12 beading needle. Although I think I was using a 10 the other day and it worked fine. So either way, it's going to be fine, but I think the 12 will be better. You'll need something to cut thread with, so some scissors. And then what else? You might need some tools just at the end if you want to put jump rings on, and if you want to do any of the embellishing. So we had all of our classes for this month. Actually, I'll just take a second to recap that. They all had a theme, and so I used the same beads for all of them. And at the end of the class, I'll bring them all out and we'll lay them all out and look at them again. But it was so you could see what all the different stitches look like in with the same beads. And the whole idea there was that if I use the same beads, you'd really get a really cool visual of what every different stitch looks like next to each other. So we'll do that at the end. I'll bring all those out. But so today I'm working with those same ones. And I was inspired to do these colors by some of the focal beads that I had found. So if you'd want to go ahead and copy that and do like a little dangle, some chain, all that stuff. Works out pretty great. All right, I'm just going to jump in. As always, feel free with questions, drop those in the chat and we'll answer them as we go. And so the first thing I wanted to point out about the design is that it's really, really thread hungry. As many as 120 inches will probably be needed to finish the design. And that's if you're doing 5 bubbles. So each of these designs has the 5 of those. If you want to add bubbles, cut a little more, or you can add thread. And adding thread is always easy and always recommended if you're going to start using a lot of thread can tangle really easily on you, especially with this kind of length. So what I usually do is start with 100 to 120. You're going to leave a tail. The tail is going to be about, I don't know, 12 to 15 inches because we do need to do some looping with it to make that little ending. So 12 to 15 inch tail, cutting about 100 to 120 inches, and then adding thread as needed. And also I've been folding over about 60 inches when I work. So I'll take and put the needle on, and then I'll fold over half of it as I'm working so that I'm not trying to pull so much thread through with every stitch that I'm doing. So there's those recollection scissors that I've been using in most of our classes. Another cool reason you might want to have some chainless pliers is to just kind of flatten the end so you can get your needle threaded a little bit easier. And last but not least, I'm going to grab my needle here. Put that one on. Okay, and so today for colors, what I was thinking for colors. There was a really beautiful version that was kind of in theme. Let me show you one of the examples we had. We were doing a yellow colorway on one of our earlier classes, and so it really complements the blue. So I thought I might work this colorway today if it's easy to see, and it would be so pretty. Let me grab a yellow. So here's a bright yellow. And then I'm going to grab some gold and some silver. And of course, we're going to need white. You'll also need some size 10 in whatever color you're using. I'm going to use the white, and then some bugles in white. So there's my palette. It's a little different in count because the other design had, it had one additional size 8 color than I've got here. So I'm going to repeat, probably I'm going to put the either the gold in the center or the silver. I'm not sure yet. Well, I'm just going to play with it and see what it looks like. So a little bit of a design on the fly. And give me a shout out if these colors are in any way problematic, and I can always change it up. There's that one. And there's my 10. So those are the ones I'm going to need first. Let's start with that. And actually, just as I'm thinking out loud here, we want to be able to see this apart from that. Why don't I bring in another size 10? If I've got one handy, I can just bring in some orange. It's going to still look Halloween, but I just really want it to pop. So let's think about this. Let's do some orange. This might change the look up just a little bit. All right, let's lower down my camera here. Hopefully that's a little better. Okay, so I'm going to stick with the count of 5 bugles for the start. And so to do that, the first thing you want to do is pick up one of your size 10s. And then you'll need a bugle. And then you'll need a size 10. So there's one side. And we're going to ladder stitch, just like we did in our first class this month and the first September class, we were doing the ladder looping. So we're going to need to match this, right? Because our next one over is going to need to look like it. So I'm going to need another size 10. I'll need another bugle. And I'll need another 10. And that's so that when I pull this down, oops. Sorry guys, my thread jumped down. Let me grab that. Working with a long strand. Okay. And again, I'm leaving that tail, about 10 to 12 inches of a tail. And then I'm going to come back up through just the first 10, bugle, and then next 10. And the reason I do that first, even though we're going to go through them all, is I want to make that box shape. It's going to look a lot like the one that we did in the early September class. And so the goal is for these to sit side by side. So you can tighten the tail. You can tighten the working side. And the goal being for them to sit side by side like that. Don't worry if they're a little bit loose or a little bit wonky. The goal is to just get it started. And then you'll have to come back up through the ones we just added. So we can keep going along in the chain. Feel free to reinforce that if you feel like you need to, but with the note that we're going to be going through it again when we do the next parts of the stitch. So I actually am not going to reinforce mine for that reason, just for ease of passing through it. Okay, so next we're just going to keep building out until we have a total of 5 of these. So I'm going to need another size 10, another bugle, and another 10. And so as we did with ladder stitch before, we're going to just come around. And so you're exiting from this top one here, this top size 10, and then loop all the way around and come down through the bottom one there. So always we're just making that little circle, right? We're making a big circle through the last bead, adding the new ones. And come down through the new ones you just added. But I always do that tightening step first before traveling back through. I think it makes a difference in how the beads stack up. And there it goes. So there's our third one. And you see that second pass really tightens stuff up. It starts looking pretty good. New one, new one, new one. So we're just going to join that here by going back through. So super easy, just kind of a little awkward because even though it's the same steps that we do all the time in our ladder stitching, it's awkward because of those combination of 10s and bugles. And it's not perfect. They're not super perfect here, but as we add the new content that we're going to add here at the top, it'll start to get more and more precise as you make multiple passes through it. So here's the next ones. This is my last one. We're going to add it right here. Come back through this one. And there we go. So that's step 1, all done. And now we get to add our first bubble, to add our first bubble. And the fun part begins because this is really, really, really cute and neat looking. And so I recommend definitely making lots of these. So I'm just going to grab some size 8s. I'm going to grab a bunch of colors. And I know I had my heart set on doing that yellow pattern, but I've changed it up with this orange. So maybe we go, I don't know. Let's think about this for a second. I'm just totally going with something really different looking. Maybe it's still in the Halloween realm. And some gold, maybe? I've been excited about combining a silver lined bead with opaques. I think it gives you a dimension that it didn't have before. So let's see how this looks. We've got 4 here, and in the sample we had 2, 3, and 4, plus this one, 5. Maybe we had one more color. We'll see. What color can we add? Here's 5 colors. Now we'll have the exact number of colors that the sample had. And that's still gonna look really cute. Okay, here we go. So building your first bubble. This is really fun. It's gonna kind of like weave around this little loopy thread path. But what I did on mine is I started with 2. And then let's see, let's make this color scheme A, and maybe this one could be B. Yeah, I'll do that. And so I'll go 2, center, 2, and back. And so again, this was just what I came up with. So every other one is going to have this, and then every other one is going to have that as a combo. What do you think? It's kind of cute. So bring that down. And of course, in the samples, what I did over here was, here's just a solid colorway of that. And then over here, I alternated a purple with the matte version and an aqua matte version, purple aqua. So we're going to do something like this with the colors here. Okay, so there's that. And now we need to make our first connection from up here. So step 1 of this bracelet, let me slide these up a little bit. You're still going to need your bugles and your 10s. So I'm going to grab some of my 10s, some of my bugles. I need to make one of these connections. I need to make one of these connections up here now. We're going to start building the next bib up here. So to help you visualize it, I'm going to string it kind of maybe more one at a time. So there's that first section. But now I need to build on here, just like we're laddering, right? So I'm going to need 2 more size 10s and another bugle. So here's that one, that one, that one. So just picture it like that. That's what we're going for. And to connect it, just like with the laddering we were doing down here, we're going to come back up through this one. And I like to pull on the working tail here. This is the working side before I pull this through, just to make sure everything's tight. And so there's side 1. Come back through this, one just like when we were laddering, come back through it. And don't worry, we're going to do this lots of times, so you don't have to memorize it, and we're going to repeat it a lot. So there we went through, we did a ladder stitch basically for this side. Now I'm going to travel down. So let's grab these colors here. That combo, I really love this one. I want to do one of these all in just these colors, because I think that would be really cool. And so I'm going to go down through, and this is what I was mentioning earlier, how you get to reinforce this back one more time. So that's what I'm doing. I'm bringing it all the way down to the second one, because we've exited from our second one up here that we just created. And now we're coming down through our second one here. I'm going to pull that. And there we go. All right, so heading back up, this is the tail over here. I'm just kind of trying to keep that out of the way. Here's my working thread again. Come up through the third one, the middle one. So that whole stack, you just want to come up through that whole thing right there. And there we go. So back to these colors. I'm going to grab some white. We'll do the purple. Pull the blue here. And back to purple. And we need the white ones. Okay, bringing that down. So now we're back up here. And what do we need? We need another connection, right? So let's build one. Let's grab a size 10. Let's grab a bugle. Grab a 10. And this time we want to come down to the top. And here's how you know that. It kind of like when I was saying it's intuitive. If you lay it all out, eventually you'll just have this kind of memorized in your mind. It'll be motor memory for you. But the first time you're trying it, if it helps to figure out, oh, am I going through the bottom or top? Just lay it and it'll just be, it'll come to you that, oh yeah, I need to link it right here, right? So just come back through this one. And pull down. And what you'll get there is an open. So when I call it an open, it's basically this ladder stitch has an open here at the bottom. And I want to close that open up, right? So kind of keeping my tension tight at the top, bring those guys together, come up through those ones we just added. And closes our open, and there we go. And so the next thing we need to do, let's take a closer look at that. We're halfway done, more than halfway done. We need another bar here to build down. So we need to build that now because we're stuck up here, right? So from here, we'll just need 2 more size 10s. We need 1 bugle and 1. I'm going to bring that all the way down and look at it and fold over. See how we're going like that, but I need to join it here. So coming up through that side. And so that's joined there. Come down through that one we just created and added. And I missed the 10, so I'm just going through that 10. All right, and now I get to create another bubble row. So here's my kind of just bubble configuration. There's all that. And coming down through my second to last one down here. And now turn and come up through the last one. Opportunity to tighten here. You can pull on tail and working thread. And we got one more row to do. So from here, we're going to build our last line of bubbles. And that's going to have my purple colorway. I'll change it up on the next one. I think I'll alternate them maybe. And again, this pattern you could do anything. You don't have to do these exact counts. It's still going to work no matter what you choose. We need one more bar on our ladder bib here. So there's this one. There you go. Slide that all down. All we have left to do is to connect that bar. And so the easy way to do that is doing our loop again, right? So come back through this last one. Up through this one. And there's one section done. That could be an earring if you wanted to. It could be a lot of stuff. Another really crazy thing you can do from here, if you wanted to, is you could keep building sideways. And what I mean by that is there's no reason you can't keep adding on top and bottom. This convention is going to work no matter how many of these you make. You can keep going for a long time building these sections and then fold them over and join them. So if you think about the possibility there of making an actual little lantern and then running like an 8mm bead through the center. I actually did one of those. It looked more like an Easter basket. I was going for lantern and it kind of looked different, but just keep in mind what you can do with something like this, just as the concept that you're not limited with making a bracelet. It can become a lot of things. But so let's add another section and then I'll check in with everybody and see what you want to see next. So from here, we would want to start our new section again. And I was saying I was going to reverse my colors. So I'm going to start by bringing up a few more of these. Okay. So new bubble section. And now I need to start building another bib up here, right? So we're going to kind of do the same thing we did before, but we're just ignoring the fact that we have something hanging out down here. It's really the same thing we did in step 1, making the ladder. So there's that first section of ladder. And again, it always helps just to lay it out. And now we need another ladder section here, right? So let's grab this one, new bar. Gonna go and join it over here. And this is actually truly beautiful with smaller beads. Harder to see for a demo like what I'm doing, but really beautiful with small. So don't be afraid to try the tiny beads with this once you get it down. Going back down here, catching my 10 that I missed there. All right. So I'm going to join this new one I made to the second one down here. And this is definitely organic looking and doesn't completely go flat, which I think is cool. Okay, so there's my next little section. Come down through this one. Little second one there. And there it is, all joined. And let's pop up through over here. New section, so another one of those little bubble counts. Bring that down, taking a look, need another one of those. And then just seeing, yep, you just need to loop around. There you go. I caught one of my bubbles there, but so far so good. And from here, this is that spot where we've got nowhere to go, right? So we need to add another bar here. I think this would make also a very cute choker necklace, but maybe with just 3 instead of 5 of the bugle sections. So there's a lot of experimenting you can do. And I would make it like all in black, like black bugles, all black beads, and that would look so cool. Maybe with some like silver. I don't know. Just I'm getting ideas as I work on these. It's easy enough that you can still think about stuff, right? But like it'll just kind of trigger ideas as you go. So there's that one. We're going to join number 4 to number 4 down here. Going through. I think I have Halloween on the mind. I'm thinking of all Halloween designs right now, or at least just kind of more fall looking. last one. So I'm going to build this last little bubble here. Bring that down. And seeing I need my last bar here. And so even though you guys will have noticed that this ad was in order of operations slightly different than the one we did at the beginning, it was intuitive because when you lay it out and you see what it needs, you know, what do I need next, right? As you're creating these, that becomes something that you see. And that's why this is refreshing, because you don't need to look at the pattern. You really don't. I mean, it's there in case you want to reference it, but you'll just lay the beads out and see what's missing and then add it. And it's the basic concept of laddering and then just stringing, basically. So people are going to look at that and like, oh, wow, that looks complex. How'd you do those connections? And it was just super easy. And the thing about when you're wearing it, it looks really cool. Because something like this, when you try to make it flat, it looks less interesting because it's all bunched on itself. But then when you bring it into 3D, it has a really cool look. So we're doing so great for time. I'm going to check in and see if you guys want me to do another bubble. Just so you can get that visual of it, or something different.
Danielle, may I make a recommendation?
Yeah, please.
Sidebar is very quiet today. I think we have a lot of intermediate beaters who are probably beating along. What I think is, for me, is most important thing is starting and finishing always. So it would be worth it for everyone to just, if they're going, then let them keep going. But for anyone who just didn't quite get it, showing the start again would be brilliant.
Yeah.
Even for me. Yeah,
let's do it. I'm going to set this one aside and I'm going to grab maybe, I'm trying to think of a new color. I really want to do this yellow colorway. So I'm going to do that one. And I'm wondering if we can live with the white bugles or not. Otherwise I can grab another color.
I think we can. The white is actually looking good, Danielle.
Does it look okay?
Yep.
Okay, let's do it. I'm going to change it up because this is my dream is seeing that color together. So
I did want to say that you're getting hellos from the sidebar that I know you can't answer. Yeah, we have quite a few of our regulars in the room, and a few people did have to sign in a little late, so they're going to really appreciate the second start.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm glad. I've just run out of Wildfire. I'm going to grab my other Wildfire here. Apologies I'm using one of the larger spools because I ran out of my last little one.
Danielle, do you think it's easier to do this project, even for me, because I am definitely not an intermediate beater? Do you think I'm thinking it's easier because we did all 3 classes leading up to this one?
Yeah, for sure. Especially the latter one. Because that gave the I'm kind of a strong believer in, like, I don't know. So a good example of this, motor memory. When you ever notice on your phone, if you move the app icons on yourself, you end up clicking on the wrong app over and over again.
Yes.
It's the same thing with stitching. And if you did that class, the latter one, this one here, if you made one of those bracelets, that's programmed into your brain now. That whole looping around thing is going to just be intuitive. You're going to know, oh, I go through the top now because it looks like that. And this I go through the bottom because it's exiting there. It comes like that from having done it a few times. And this is the same, it's the same motor function. Like it's the same looping around, right? It's just different beads. So your brain is going to remember that even if you're not realizing it. Like you're just going to start doing that. So yeah, definitely. Short answer, it totally makes it easier because we have the other classes, I think. All right, so I'm just gonna start from the beginning here. So but I'm gonna work with a really cool colorway that I was inspired by, which is this kind of yellow with the gold, but I'm gonna bring in some silver. And the silver, I think, is gonna give it a really cool look, kind of like pop. And all of these colors, if you're looking for the names of all these, like the SKUs, they are in that original handout that I was just holding up. And you can find this on our blog. So if you go to blog.johnbead.com, if you missed any of these classes, all of these part numbers are in there, and these are the beads I'm using right here. Same exact ones. So between the two there, you'll find them. And then of course you can always just ask me, I'll send you all the SKUs for this one. But so for step one, and I'm going to bring the handout back up just really quick so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to build this right here. And this is just a ladder stitch, but it's using a size 10 bead, bugle bead, and a size 10 bead. It's treating that like one bead as we do our ladder. And it's kind of the same things like when you've done, if you've ever done any of those fringe earrings where people do stacks of 2, it's the same exact thing. We're just doing a stack of 3 using those kind of beads right there. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make 5 in a ladder. And I'm going to work with these white ones just because it's going to look really, really cool next to my colors. But so there's those 3 there, right? Bring that down. And of course, for thread, I didn't mention it this time, but at the beginning, we were telling everybody it's thread hungry, really thread hungry. So for my bracelets that I've done for the samples, cut about 120 inches. I left a 12-inch tail. And at this part right here, where you string your needle, I folded over a bunch. I folded over probably half of it or a little less than half of it, so that as I'm working, I don't have to stretch my arm out so far every time. And then as it gets shorter, you just unspool that from your needle, right? So that really helped me a lot when I first started beading, was to get the hang of that. It didn't feel like it would work, and then it would work great. But so there's my first beads. I put them on there. I've got a 12-inch tail on this side. It's my working side. And there's those. And now I've picked up the next section. So another set of size 10 bead, bugle bead, and size 10 bead. And I'm going to come along and go back through all those beads again. And so there's the first side. I want to go ahead and travel through the ones that I've added now. So this is my tail over here. And this is my working side where my needle's attached to. And I'm going to come back through those beads. Back through all of those. Just those 3 on that side. And it'll tighten up. And what I like to do at this step is maybe take my thumbnail and tighten up both of these strands. It's not going to be perfect now, but as you add the top beads, it gets a lot flatter. Okay, so let's make another one. We only have to do 3 more. So again, we need seed bead, bugle, seed bead. And laddering, we're going to go back through the side that our thread's not exiting from. So I want to get through this bead here and the 2 below it, which are the ones we just added. And that last step, here's my new ones coming down. And as they connect, see the little loop, they just close right up. That's step 1 there. Come back up through there. Finishing that circle. So every time it's a circle. And I've got another 10, bugle, 10. Going through the side my thread is not coming out of. And then coming down the side. So we've got 4, we need 1 more. This one. Through the side that we don't have thread coming out of, looping it, and then closing that circle up. And there it is. So that's the ladder section. And don't worry if it's a little wonky. We have to go through all of those. All those have to be gone through again. When we add our bubble stitch, we're going to be traveling up and down, and they're going to get an additional pass that's going to really tighten everything up. So you notice that I didn't reinforce this, but like in the class we did in the first week of September, we reinforced it as we went. But this one, it is going to get reinforced. It's just going to happen as part of the stitching. So that's why I didn't do it here. And all reinforcing is just going through all your stitches again, a second time. Okay, and so let's see, let's go through and pick up our beads here. And actually, I'm gonna skip the white. We're just gonna go. No, I don't know. I feel like maybe I'm having fun playing with colors, you guys. I'm gonna do the gold one first, and then I'll do silver. Yeah, because there's something about this that I just really like. I might even just stick with that and not do the silver. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing, but I like it. Okay, so there's that one. First side of our bubble. And we're going to go ahead and build another one of these on top here as we go. So to do that, you'll need to set up your first part of that bar. I've been calling them bars or bibs, or this thing collectively is the bib. One of these bars is the column. So I've got this one on. And now I know I need another side, right? And it's one of those things where like you'll just see it as you're going, but when you go to explain it, you're like, hang on. It is really weird, right? But so here's the next bar, and I'm gonna bring that down, and it's gonna sit like that, right? Next to it. So we're just ladder stitching. We're doing the same thing we did in step one with the complexity of having all this down here. So come up through those first 3 beads on the left-hand side. And I'm going to tighten that up. So there's that side done. I'm going to come back down. And now I'm ready to connect here. So let's get another set. Let's see what happens with silver. Oh, the silver is cute too. Okay, bring that down. And there's our first 2. And now I'm going to turn, and I'm going to come up through the next bar here, the middle one. String another strand here of the little bubble beads. There's those. And slide that down, and then just take a look. What do I need next? I need at least another bar, and I got to connect that bar to this side. So I'm going to need a 10 and a bugle, and then I'm going to need a 10. And from here, let's slide it down, because this is the only spot where you're going to be like, what am I going to do? You want to look at it here and see from where my thread's exiting. My obvious path would be to go back through this one to link those up in a loop. But what you might be tempted to do is come up from underneath it. So it really helps if you just lay it down and look at it until you get the hang of it. And eventually you won't need to look at it like that. You'll just be like, oh yeah, I didn't go this way. Here's closing the loop up. And make sure your loop goes where you want it. Sometimes it catches on some of my bubble beads, but so there, that side is joined. The black thread isn't really working for me. I want to switch to the white one. I'm going to remake this with the white thread. But you can see how pretty is that? That's really gorgeous. And so I'm going to grab, now we need to connect 2 more bubbles, right? Let me bring this up a little bit. We need to add another bar here because we need a way to travel back down. So this step, you're going to need another 10, another bugle, and another 10. And that's size 10 seed bead, in case anyone's wondering. I've just been saying the number. and making that ladder loop by going through the bead that our thread's not coming out of. And there we go. Now we have the extra bar we need. Let's travel down through it. Okay. New bubble. And this one's going to go right through number 4. All right, almost done. Turn in, coming up through the 5th one here. Opportunity to tighten here, pulling on those. Okay, last little one. Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah, the path, once you got it, you got it. It's just one of those things that just pops right in to your muscle memory. There we go.
Danielle.
Yeah.
I cannot believe how great the gold looks next to yellow.
I'm really excited about it. It's just this combination.
Never would have done that.
It just looks really summery, and even though it's fall right now, I still feel like it's so cute.
Gorgeous.
It really helps to put it with white, and I think turquoise would be good. I might have to make another one. Turquoise. I was wondering if one of our new palettes has that combo or not. I'm going to check and see. And so we added this bubble here, and then we have the new bar coming on. They're just going to join it to the side, and then it's time to create the next row, or the next section, I guess. So here's just closing up the loop. So there's that one done. Yeah, it is. It's really cute. Bright colors. All right. And so let's see how we're doing. We've got about maybe 10 minutes before we can maybe take a break. I can do another bubble on this one. So you can see that again. I can switch back to this other one and do a third. Oh, what do you guys want to see? How's everyone feeling about a finished bracelet? If you wanted to do what I did 5 sections. And by the time you get to the end of that 5 sections, you'll be feeling like you're running out of thread, basically. So we probably should talk about adding thread in case that is helpful to anyone. But yeah, 5 sections will give you a pretty good bracelet, especially once you get the loops on and the findings. I'll measure this. I'll measure this right now and see what this.
Danielle, adding thread is a request we have.
For sure, yeah. And this bracelet here with findings is an exactly 7-inch bracelet. And that's 7 inches if you clasp it at the tightest spot. And so it's extendable down to 8 if you put a little chain on it. And so what I've got here, let me take a look. I'm going to pull my needle off this one. I'm going to move these aside. And do you want to add thread now? We have a few. Yeah, we'll do that and then we'll take the break after, and we'll do finishing after the break. So here's my one that I was working on earlier, and I was running out of thread here. It's not enough to do my finishing at the end. So I'm going to need to add thread. And I had a little strand that I just stuck up here that was too short for demoing, but it was a really good length for this. And I stuck it right here. Now it's like, it's gone. I'll pull one off of here. You guys, the wildfire shortage is getting real. Okay. I'm going to have to actually go to the store and get some. My local was out, and I meant to order on. I meant to order online and did not. See, I need to do that. Or call Meredith and ask her to save me. Okay, so I've got the flattened end there. This is my new strand. I'm bringing my new strand in. Okay. And so what I like to do whenever I'm adding thread is I leave my old working tail just in place to hang out and wait for me for a while until for a couple of reasons. And it's just a habit from doing patterns. It marks my place. So I know where I left off. And it also makes sense if you're working on, like on this one, it's not going to matter as much, but on a lot of them, they can get bulky in the place where you weave in. So if you want to make that not happen, you can weave in with your new thread and then start creating new stuff and then take your old thread and weave up into it. This one, I'm not as worried. I'm already at my 5 section here. So what I'm going to do is join my thread to here and start creating my clasp with it. And then this one, I'll just kind of weave into the clasp for reinforcement and then take it down to the piece. So one thing cool about the ends is that ends can be a little stronger, right? So that's not going to be too bad to have a double weave in there. But if you were like in the middle of your work and you found yourself here, you just want to do that. And we could even do that. We could create another section if you guys want to see that you can weave this into. But I let this get really short. So I want to point that out to you. I was really excited. I wanted this to be all done and I didn't stop in that thread, but really I probably should have added thread a little sooner because that's really short. That's about we're looking at 4.5 inches. I really don't like to go lower than 7, but lazy Danielle won when she was making this one, so now I get to try to save it. So I'm going to weave in. I'm going to come down here. So in this one, because we don't have a lot of real estate here to weave, like doing turns, we're going to have to start down here, give ourselves somewhere to lock, and then we'll just head up wherever we are here and weave over to there. So let's just pick a spot, any spot. And the cool thing is ladder stitches, they're turns, so we can use these as turns. And my goal right now is to make that, this is my tail from my new strand. I want to keep going until that doesn't move anymore. 2 inches. Oh my gosh. I don't know, you'd have to knot. I think if you did 2 inches of tail, you'd be in knot land. You'll find ourselves there sometimes. And I have another actual trick to share in case anyone is finding that it's getting really tight to weave in. So this tail moved a lot more than I wanted it to when I was doing my test. So I'm gonna pull that back down a little bit. Here, I'm gonna go back through. So far so good. I'm able to get through it, but my tail is still moving a lot. And something else has happened. Something funny. Oh, wow. Okay. I actually punctured that. I went through the wildfire. I don't know how I did that. See, you can tell because you get a little white spot. I don't know if you guys can see my white spot there. I actually was able to go through it. It's really hard to do that, but if it's going to happen, it'll probably happen inside of a bugle. So there is another way you can do a weave in. I'm going to do this one real quick and I'll show you. It's coming up through the side. Pull tight through here. Okay, testing to see if it moves. It still moves. Come back through here. And I think that's going to do it. I think that's going to make it not move anymore. Let's test it. Okay, so it's good. That should work for most of your endeavors. If by any chance, see, I'm really pulling on it. It's not going anywhere. I'm going to go ahead and trim it. But if by any chance you're finding you just can't get through those anymore, maybe you had some extra trips through it for some reason, there's one more thing you can do to get a good weave in, and that is that you can use the thread bridges. So right now, just paying attention to where I'm exiting. I'm exiting from this second one here. What if I make a trip up through here? And then I use my thread bridge up here. Do you see there's one up here that I can use to turn? Pull on that and flip it back. Make a trip right back down. Same strand. This one's going to be a little more full than the others, but I don't think it's going to stand out too much. And again, now we're back at the one that we decided was too tight to go through. So pick up another thread bridge above that one. And then just head right back up. So there's another way to do a lock-in turn. And then last but not least, if you must not, another thing you could do is just travel to meet your old thread and do a knot, but be warned that you won't be able to get through that size 10 bead again if you do. So I'm going to travel so that I can get over here, and I'm going to use that thread bridge trick again to get where I need to be, because you may find also when you do your weave in that you end up over here, and you're like, if you go back down, you need to be going this way, right? So this is another way to get where you need to be. You can do a turn. So let's go down through here. And I'm going to grab the thread bridge here. And stick with me for a second, because I want to explain the thread bridge at this part is a little different. Because see, we don't have any beads above these two, right? These aren't connected. This white bead to this next one is not connected. So we need to use our friend over here. Side, this is like a side turn, right? Using that one. Let me show that again. I went off camera. Okay, so the thread bridge I'm using is this one here next to this bead. So let me go ahead and keep pulling through, and I'll show you what that looks like. So out of focus, but see, it kind of popped there. I'm actually borrowing the pole thread, so it's not even really a bridge, it's like a pole. And I'm coming back this way now on this side, and then back up through the one I want to be at. So there's 3 different ways you can do turns and weave-ins, and hopefully that helps anyone who maybe has like a tight spot or a stuck, especially if you want to make it really long. But see that little turn? If you really look close, you can tell where I did that. But it's, goodness, focus. You can see it right there. You're not going to see it when your work is finished. It's still going to be okay. So, yeah, any questions about that? I know it kept going in and out of focus. I can do it again if anyone wants to see that. But if not, we could take our break. We're at the, for me, the 1 o'clock mark. I'm in Pacific time. We can take a water break, and then I'll finish the design. Yeah, thanks, Cindy. Yeah, I like to share alternatives, because sometimes people get stuck and they're like, oh, what do I do? There's always a way. Yeah, we'll add another bubble to this one if you like. We can make this one a little longer. All right, we'll see. It is so we are right there at 1 o'clock. So 1 o'clock for my time. So we'll come back in like 5 minutes. Let everybody have a little water break. But I'm still hanging out here, so if you want to ask anything, I'll watch the chat.
Pat, did you show it? Are you finished?
Is she done? Oh, let me see. Here, let me switch my camera. Everyone's at the top. Oh, wow. Of course she's done. Pat always finishes for the early before class. Yay. Oh, that's nice. How cool. It always feels good. It means the PDF made sense. Like, it's hard to communicate it. Like, we were talking about this in another class where we were telling everybody that don't worry if you look at the PDF before class and you're like, what? Because afterward, it becomes more like a memory jogger because you've seen it. But if you can do it without seeing the class, then it's, yeah, huge compliment. Yay, all that looks great, Pat. What kind of clasp did you do? It looks like a magnetic. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I like the magnetic clasps a lot. Actually, I should use one of our new ones in our one of our upcoming classes. I'll have to show you guys. Oh yeah, that's super cool. Yeah, I like the way you did the end too. It looks like your loop isn't as loopy as mine. Mine are loop, kind of like, let's see. Yeah, and that's actually another way you can add or subtract length too, is if you make these loops different sizes. Very cool. Well, actually, I will get more of these beads out while we wait. Oh yeah. Yeah, the retro blue will look great with the white bugles. I think so too. That's gonna be really gorgeous. I also really had this had an idea of doing the mermaid one. Of course my wall behind me is different now, so I can't grab it, but there was one that had a lot of green in it and a lot of emerald. And then we have a matching emerald bugle. So I thought that would be cool to put those two together. And let's see, I'm gonna need this one. And I've already got my orange out, so yeah, I'm good. This one will be really fun with a charm. Oh, you saw it? Yeah, they're definitely there at Michael's still. The old wall is not going away, like all the old colors we had, that's staying. It's the oh yeah, a pumpkin charm would be perfect. They have those. They had like a gemstone halite one, I think. I saw that one at least last year. It's a little big, but it's still be really cute. I could even stitch it on one of the bubbles, maybe. Oh yeah, and that was another thought I had. You could put 2-hole beads in here to kind of really pull them together. I do kind of like them separate, but yeah, 2-hole beads would be neat. It's really fun. Okay, so we got just about another minute, and give everybody another minute in case they stepped away. And then we'll, I liked that suggestion. I saw it that popped up about adding another bubble first before we do the finishing. I'm gonna need a few more of those. Yep, agree. Amazing. Oh yeah. I think that was Wanda that mentioned they have candy corn ones. I did see those. They popped up in one of my emails. They know me. They know what I will buy. I have to go get those. That will be perfect on this. Yeah, and a crystal. Oh my gosh, I'm going to show you guys at the end of class. I finished November, and there's a lot of crystal in one of them. Really pretty. All right, so I think we're good. We're about at the 5-minute mark. So what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to add another bubble onto this one. So we added our thread. Still have this old thread to deal with, so you can see what I decided to do with that. It's going to be tricky because it's short, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure out something. But for now, let's go ahead and build another section. So from here, same process, and you get to see it from the other side. Even though there really is no sides, you can just flip it, but kind of works to see it in both directions. So the first thing I'll need to do is build one of these. So I switched to my Halloween colors. And there we go. So there's one there. And now I need to build another, we're going to start building another one of these sections above it. So I'll need some of my 10s and bugles. And again, there's the one. And we'll do another bugle here. Just building another one of these. And then come up through the first one. So there's that step. And then you want to come down through that same little section you just added. I can't always get through my size 10 seed bead, and I don't often really try that hard. I just go through it as a separate pass. But there we go. So that's connected there. I'm going to go ahead and turn it this way. It seems to want to work this direction toward myself. Seems easier. So let's add the next little strand here. And exiting from the second there that we just made, coming down to the second here at the bottom. A little bit of a tight spot. And as I showed earlier, it is possible to puncture that thread. So if you encounter a tight spot and you really have to go through the bead, just keep pulling your needle in and out instead of just trying to force it on that first pass, because it's probably puncturing thread, but if you just wiggle it a little bit, you might get around it. And there we go. Much easier there. Okay, so the next thing we want to do from here is build another one of these strands and then create another section up here to link it to. So here's two more here. And then another bugle bar here. Bringing that down. And so from here, I feel like I can see pretty good where to link it. Going back through this one. And then up back through. There it is. I'm going to release a little bit of my spooled thread here so I can work longer. Adding another bar now because we've got 3 here and we need to travel back down. See, we're stuck up here and we need to go back, and every other bubble you add, you'll have to do this. If you've noticed as you go, one of them doesn't need it and the next one does. So here we're going to build a bar. Just laddering on an extra section that we can use to bring us back down. Here's the next one. Oops, I was almost through that 10. Being stubborn today. There we go. Okay, so picking up another strand here. Okay, and then going through the fourth one. That's the fourth one down here. So far, so good. Turn, come up through the fifth one. I can't wait to see all the colors you guys do. Out of yellow. Okay, 2 more of these. Okay. So there it is. And then I added my last bar that I'm going to need to join right here. Oops, I turned off my light. It's a little bright there. Okay, hopefully that works. Okay, so we've got those added here. This is that last bar we just added. And we're just going to do a loop to link it. Let me bring it a little closer. So there's that. We're going to join it. There's another section. So that's really cool. And it gets really flowy too. Lots of sparkle with those orange. I like those. All right, so all we have to do is finishing. Really quick, what I'll do with this old thread here. If you let your thread get short, I recommend using thread bridges. You can also switch to using a short sharp beading needle, and that'll give you a little more maneuvering. Having those handy is good. But from here, I kind of want to get out of that section and maybe come back up here. And I'm going to pick up the thread bridge that is above those two orange ones. And then I'm going to head back down. Thread bridge turns are tighter than just regular turns through beads. So I'm going to be missing a turn here. And so I'm going to take a chance and kind of hope that this extra little thing is going to help me. And one other thing, if worse comes to worse, is you can do a half hitch knot. And if you don't know what a half hitch knot is, typically you would pick up, you guys see the thread bridge I'm grabbing right there? If you see that one there, you grab that one. This is going to be really tight, but go underneath and head back through your loop. My needle's not going to make it. It's too short. So I'm going to bring it up like that and just grab it. And so you don't want to trim next to your half hitches. And since we're done here, I figure a knot is not going to be too bad. You could do that again if you wanted. And let me show another trick. So let's say this is too short for you to needle and get back through. You can bring your needle through the beads where you want to head. Hold them like that and thread your needle already through those beads. It's a little trickier, but it can save you in a bind. And so that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so let's trim that. Old tail's gone. There it is. But moral of the story, don't let your thread get that short. Make your life easier. And so any questions before we go on to finishing, please drop those in the chat. Cindy says she knows that one. Yeah, that's saved me more than a few times. All right, so I've got this one threaded over here. Okay, so finishing it, super easy. All you want to do is create a loop of seed beads. Now the length of that, it's kind of up to you. If you want to do exactly what I did, it looks like I just put a bunch of, like, see, 1, 2, 3. I did 9 or 10. Looks like 9 there. Let me double check on my piece. Because this one is part of the ladder, so we're not counting that one. 8. Looks like I actually only did 8. So we don't want to count these. 8 or 9. And my diagram has 9, but it looks like over here I was doing 8. And 8 might be better because it'll give you a center point. Like that. But just play with it. And then Pat was holding hers up during the break, and it looks like she made her loop a little shorter so she could put a magnetic clasp on it. Or was it even a loop? I wonder. You did a loop? I couldn't tell exactly, but it looks like it was much closer to the edge, which I thought was very pretty. Let's see what Pat did. Oh, I see. So yeah, it looks like it's just like a couple beads and you went, are those 6? Oh, oh, maybe? Not sure, but it looks like what you can do is use it looked like you did a larger bead and then you kind of did like 2 small beads and use that to connect your clasp. Yeah, so I would say play with it. I'm going to show you what I got here. But you can definitely change this up. This is sky's the limit here. And then here's an illustration also of the thread turn trick that we were doing. And I'll show that again as well when we're finishing this one. So let's finish this side. I am going to just stick with that 8 count. And from here, bring those down. And then you want to jump over to the other one on the other side. Go ahead and go all the way down through that. And that's really pretty. I like it. Okay, and so for turning, you want to get back up and go through all this again to reinforce it. So here's that trick again we were doing. I'm going to try to make sure I stay in focus, but I'm exiting from this bead here. And really what my goal is to catch the thread bridge on this one. So it's the one on the other side of my other 10. And the reason that's important is there is no thread bridge above our white beads, right? We don't have a thread bridge there. We're missing some architecture. So we're going to borrow the thread bridge of the next orange bead, right? And use it to turn. And just be careful you don't tangle your bubbles. I almost kind of did that just now. But so from the back side, what you're seeing is that we grabbed the thread bridge that's above these 2 orange beads. We went under it. We went under it right there. And now we're going to come back up through this side. And that trick is applicable a lot of places. Anytime you're missing a thread bridge below, you've always got one next to you, right? There's always a thread bridge somewhere that you can use to do your turn. I'll do it again over here. Let's travel all the way over. Keep going down. The bottom on this side. And this one's not as tight, so you might actually get to see a little bit better what I'm doing here. So I'm going to use the thread bridge that's here. Right? Grabbing that one, using it to turn and come back up. And you really can't see it. It's hidden. Even with the black thread, it's hidden really nicely. Let's go through this one more time. And now we're here, and now we're just weaving in. And so for weaving in, from where I am here, because I did a lot of turning already here, I'm going to go ahead and just travel down 1. Maybe we'll do our weaving in down here. Oh, I see Pat's showing what. Yeah, how she finished hers, the 8-0. Okay. No, that makes sense. I like that. I think that works out really nice. And so what I did here is I borrowed the thread bridge above these 2 orange beads. And I'm just going to come back up through here. And I'm going to pick up this thread bridge here. I don't want to go through these beads again. So I'm grabbing the thread bridge that's above the 2 edge ones, and I'm going to click on the second one here. So here's even another way you could weave around. It also served the purpose of tightening up that connection there, which I felt was a little bit loose. All right, and maybe I'll just do 1 turn here and we'll trim it. If I can. There we go. Okay, so trimming, I like to just take my scissors and I push down and pull up. And so there's our little connection there. Oh, thanks for posting that link. Yeah, that's a really beautiful color, this one. There's a bunch of them too. Like there's a one that's called Peacock that's like this but blue. Really pretty color. There's an amethyst. There's a fuchsia. I'm picturing fuchsia with cobalt right now. I'm just really feeling those colors together. Oh, so many things. Like you could add the gold to that. So I want to see how everyone's feeling about finishing, because we could do that on, we have multiple samples here. We could show it a couple more times. We could also put the findings on it. So lots of stuff. And then, so I was going to share really quick while you guys are typing. You can make your loops. These are some round nose pliers right here. And you can just kind of, there we go. I always do that right before photography when I photograph my work, just to make it look really cool. All right. So I don't know, Kirby, what do you think? Showing the finish loop one more time, or any questions? And talk about different bugle sizes. Yeah, Sharon, we can talk about them. Currently, we don't have any at Michael's except for the size 3s. There are other sizes, some that are shorter and some that are longer. There's also twisted bugles, which are very pretty. But I would love to see more. So that's definitely something we're always excited to share with the Michael's team. We always like to, you know, promote new ideas. And so this is good feedback, what you guys are interested in seeing. We will definitely share it. And for sure, I feel like this design would work. I know we all have, you know, well-appointed bead stashes, and there's things you want to use up, right? So maybe you have some different bugles. You're not stuck with using this size for this design. You can use any size you want. And you can even do like more than one. You could stack bugles, all kind, like if you had short ones, I'm thinking like wampum size, you could make several, you know, stacks of them with little beads in between, and it would still work pretty nicely because they next to each other hold each other's shape, right? And then for sure, you know, changing up the count of these columns, because we did 5 here and we never changed that up, but you could do just 3, like picturing, I'm gonna fold it over so you can see what 3 might look like. Isn't that pretty? It's just 3 of them. It also, and I just thought of this like literally just now, you could turn this into a rope stitch really easily by going back through and linking all your bugles. You could also link them in the moment as you're going. It would make it a little harder for you to see as you're creating new bubbles. But these can all be joined. Each of these can be. And let's say you joined all of them, and now you have this rope, right? Maybe you did 6 and then did a rope. I don't know, but you wouldn't have to do this loop at the end. You could run some beading wire through it and string seed beads inside your bugles. Then go for some big gemstones in here, maybe a 4mm, 6mm, 4mm, some seed beads to space you through. Keep doing that. And then use some crimp endings and findings on this side, and you'd have a rope bracelet with gemstones inside. It would look like that. Still pretty bendy. I would make it with 6 instead of 5 as a rope bracelet, probably, because I feel like it's asking for more connection there. But yeah, that would be cute too. Lots of cool things you can do.
Danielle, will you mind just closing up that other end since you're there?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. And just thread the needle here. Now, there's so many things that I want to try. And every time I have one of these classes with this group is inspiring and I get more ideas. You guys let me play. It's always fun. I got the 8 beads there, matching what I did on the other side. And I had one more thought about just in general, why did I put some 11/0 or 10/0 seed beads around my bugles. The reason is that with a ladder stitch, you're putting a lot of force on the thread to come over the side of the bead. And the tenos are a little protective. And so here I did that loop now, and what I'm doing here is I'm thread bridging, right? I'm going to pick up the thread bridge that's above my second and third there. And I'm just using it to turn. And then get back up here for another pass. And I let my thread get short again. So this one's only got 2 passes, but really what I would want to do is come over here, get this thread bridge, and then come back up. And I'll be able to do that, but I'm not going to make it quite all the way through my reinforcement step. So there's grabbing that thread bridge. And then we're going to come up through this bead here. Not quite sure how I let it get short again. This is the side we added on. I think it's because I created another bubble, but I didn't add enough thread at that point. So, but there, yeah, ideally I would go back over and then weave in over here. But I think it's probably okay for me to go ahead, and what I'll do is I'll tie like maybe a 1/2 hitch knot in between those two with that one. Or I might actually even just, I'm not sure exactly. I think I'll go and get a short sharp and I'll do another turn and then leave that one in. But yeah, so there's that end. It probably would hold. I could just trim it, but because this only has 2 passes and this is a pressure point where you're going to be putting a lot of, you know, on and off, I actually think that a little bit more here is probably required. So I'll have to think on that for a second. But yeah, there's in general how to do it. And actually, I know what I'm going to do. Bring this needle down. If I can get it to go through. The same old trick we just showed. There we go. I think that's probably okay. I'm gonna go ahead and trim that. And then I'm gonna go to Michael's and buy candy corn beads and put candy corn on it. That's so cute. And my bubbles are kind of, because I was playing with folding it, they kind of got floppy there, but let me just straighten those out. Yay. Here's the original with the same kind of loops on the end. And what else do I have to show? I have the ones that we started in the different colors. Yeah, so I hope this inspired a lot of ideas. I know you guys will run with it because you always have such great stuff. Every time you come up with something, I'm like, oh, I would have wished I thought of that. It's always really neat. So what else can I show you guys? We got a lot of extra time, more than I was expecting, because you just got it so fast. I never know how much, you know, how much we're gonna redo. So I think, was it last class? I thought we were gonna have all this extra time and we didn't. Last class was like the last workshop. Oh, speaking of which, it's a workshop, so you're gonna get a link that's exclusive to you. These won't be on the usual YouTube page where Michael's puts their replays. So for anyone new, you're gonna get an email with a link for this class. So the replay won't just pop up on YouTube. You have to actually check your email probably Tuesday, I think. And I've been keeping track of them now. I've got a little workshop tracker. So if anybody doesn't get the link for this class today, email me. I'm at danielle.wicks@johnbead.com, and I will get you a link to this class and anything else if you missed it, the PDF and stuff like that. So definitely, if you don't automatically get it, Oh, I see ideas in the chat. Tropical ones. I don't know, Carmi, what else should I show? Or I could also, I could start just bringing out samples of the new stuff that we've got coming.
I agree, Danielle.
Yeah.
I think
You guys want to see the?
we did great for time, and the project is
Yeah.
complete. I don't think you have to show how to add a lobster clasp because that's pretty clear. So yeah, why don't you bring out what's new?
Yeah, let's do that. So I'm going to just kind of scrape some of these little beadies out of the way really quick. And then we have, so I'll start with October. And let me raise this up just a little bit so you can get a better view. The light gets very glary at that height. Okay, there we go. So starting with what we've got next is a herringbone class. And this one is an advanced herringbone. So we did, let's see, the, I actually have it here. We did this class in September. So if you missed it, this was one of the ones you can find on Michael's YouTube replay. We showed multiple column counts and really did kind of a deep dive into herringbone. So catch that one. And then this is our very first class in October. Let's see. So October is weird because we have a week off for Canadian Thanksgiving, which is on, I believe it's the 9th. So the 7th, that Friday, we're off. If I've got that right. It's either on the 9th or the 10th.
You're right, Danielle.
Yeah, and so the that 7th holiday, because a lot of you guys will be traveling to go see family and stuff. So we don't have a class that day, but we do have a class the following Friday, which is the 14th. And so that's this one. And it's got a cool little look with like this little tweedy herringbone. I don't know if you can see it. During class, I'll be working with a brighter color that contrasts from the one that's here. But it has beads popping up on the top there and worked in kind of unique ways. And we'll do a bunch of, inspiration, like change it up kind of things like we always do. So that's the 14th. And then I think it's the 21st is our next one, our next Friday. This one's stuck to my board. Let me get that one off of there. This is like a rope, netted rope. And we've done netting before as a class. We have another class you can reference for this one, which was an earring we did. It was a netted rope stitch that didn't have beads inside. That one was, it may have actually been last year. So I'll post a link for that one, but it's very similar to this one. And this one stands alone. So if you get the PDF for this one, you won't need to review anything. It's explained pretty well, but it's really intricate looking, but not hard. So this one always intimidates folks. They look at that and they're like, what? But this is pretty intuitive stitch and you'll see it a lot of places. And I thought it'd be very cool as like a smoke and mirrors kind of Halloween-y themed gothic. And of course, featuring our new palettes. All of these have colors that were automatically put together for you as our 3-pack program, which actually I have skipped ahead. On October 4th, we have a, so I don't have a sample to show for that, but I have my entire wall behind me to show for that. And that class is going to be really fun because we're going to show all of these. And we have a PDF that's been created that has all of the SKU numbers and names for these colors. There's a bunch of them. And they're already in stores and online. So that's what October 4th at our usual time, 2 p.m. Central. We'll do an unboxing. Then there's herringbone on the 14th. And then there's netted rope on the 21st. And then the last class we have in October on the following Friday after this one is a peyote class. And that's this stitch right here. And I called it 1, 2, 3 drop peyote because it's got a really cool like 2, 3, 1 stitch pattern that you can do in 8-0. Here it is in 10-0. Again, these are featuring our new 3-packs. So all these color palettes are available in the 3-pack program in the little 13-gram vials. And then, also on here is November. So these are like fresh off the presses. They're not online yet. You'll want to give that about a week, but they are something new. This one is like, I wasn't even sure what to call this one, but I went ahead and called it a basket weave because in the end, the last step of it is you kind of weave this in like a basket, your suede. But this is a variation of ladder. So what we did today, you guys are already like ahead. You're going to know exactly what we're doing here because it's a spin on what we did today. It's just working it lengthwise really long, right? Just the ladder section. And you just keep going. And then you just weave this suede in at the end, and it's got our beautiful findings on the end. The little ribbon findings here, they're from the gold-plated findings aisle. And then they've got the lobster claw, and I put a little crystal on there. It's optional. I'm excited about that one because this was an accidental make. I was going for something else and it didn't work out, but then I'm like, hang on, wait a second. Let's see. So that's where that came from. And then, now this is not an original design that I came up with, but it's one that I felt like we just needed to do because we have bicone crystals now. And I feel like it's just, looks like a glacier to me because I did, again, this is one of our 3-packs where you get this ripple wave color of olives blue. I think this is one of my favorite ones. It's like all beautiful blue. That's the back. And then I stuck crystals on the front. And so that is going to be a November class, the second November class we've got coming up. It really is cool on. I feel like it does better when you're wearing it than laying flat. And oh, and the other thing is, if you love the look of sparkly, but you feel like bicones are kind of scratchy to wear, you don't feel it because this side, there's no bicone. So when you're wearing it, there's no scratchiness to it at all. It's just really fun. And then earrings. Yeah, so this is kind of an interesting class. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to show both versions or not, but one might just be inspo. But I was playing with silver and turquoise because I felt really inspired by that. So we've got some cyan crystal. You've got howlite, which is turquoise discs that they have at Michael's. And then I was just stitching them and I came up with a couple versions. This one I was wearing today looks like a flower to me. And it's very striking as an earring. Like when you're wearing it, it jumps out. And these are a classic design with the whole wavy thing going. So that's what I've got on the docket coming up. And let me think if there's anything else I can share. I caught the unboxing class. That's on the 4th. Oh, I'm going to Toronto. It's okay, Carmen, if we share a little on that. I don't know if we'll have any like lives we can do from up there, but I'm going up to John Bead. And so I know a lot of you guys are local, so I'd love to meet you if you're there. And then maybe we can schedule something at the outlet where I can come out and say hi to you guys. Oh, thanks, Jimena. And then let's see. While I'm there, I'm certain we're going to do some lives because we've got some new stuff to share. So anything I'm forgetting? I don't know. I'm just going to put on my earrings and see what you guys think. I was going to check in with Carmi and see if she's got anything to add because I know we've got a lot coming up there. Oh gosh, I've added some of my own little like lives where I'm doing sharing like how to do like maybe like micro tutorials on like, hey, putting a connector on, little things like that. I'm starting to throw those on YouTube. So if you're looking for extra inspiration, I've got one on this weekend. I'm planning to launch at about 4 o'clock Pacific time. That's going to show peyote stitch to a flat connector. Let's see.
Danielle, I think I'm excited for October because we're super, super busy and we've got a lot to launch at the launch event. We are going to give out a pattern for special pair of earrings, and yes, that PDF is going to be exclusive to everyone who attends the unlaunching. And this is the pack that the PDF is from. It's just an amazing project that you'll get. So come to the unboxing just to get the PDF if anything. So yeah, we're gonna have a great month. And I know people were asking last week if the classes are continuing, and absolutely we are. We're very close to starting our January classes. So we have a lot on the go.
So much, yeah, so much coming up.
And yes, the unlaunching class is free.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the 4th, October 4th. It's online now. You can register now. And that is at 2 p.m. Central. And then our regular Fridays after that, skipping the 7th for the holiday, but we're back on 14th. And yeah, so I'm excited to share this with you. I'm gonna there's 2 earrings in it in that PDF. So I'm gonna be stitching those up and maybe make a version that I can wear that day. So yeah. Any questions for me? We've got extra time if anyone needs to ask anything about this project or future projects, or unless you guys are good to go, I can let you start your weekend early and maybe get some beading done. I'm gonna head over and get those candy corn beads. Oh yeah, thanks, Winnie. Yeah, those are under bead landing, and then of course, on the 4th, we will give you guys a PDF that has all of these numbers in it, the SKU numbers, so that you can just type them into the app and they will all pop up. But yeah, they come up as 3-pack, and they're under bead landing. You'll see them there. All right, and I think, did I miss any questions there? Something just popped up. Let me bring my chat back. Let's see here. Oh, the mini tutorials. I just started them, and I've been doing them on Saturdays at 4 o'clock Pacific. And you can find those on my YouTube channel. And I often feature Michael's stuff because that's what I can send people to find easily. So you'll see a lot of Michael's products in those. Yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping you can get to shop there too. But if anyone is having trouble finding anything, you know where to find me. I can help you. And of course, if you want to tag John Bead and make it with Michael's, we love seeing what you guys create and we love sharing it. So, thanks, Jimena. Yeah, so you'll see there in the little link there, all of the tags. And yeah, so I'll let you guys go. If you need me, you can find me on Instagram. You can find me email. And that's danielle.wicks@johnbead.com or at Danielle Wicks Jewelry on Insta. And yeah, I'll just wish you guys happy beading and lots of creativity. Okay. Thanks. Have a great weekend. Bye.